What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be getting into live damage calculations for Acheron. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, to begin to understand how Acheron really works and how she does her damage, we're going to skip everything first and we're going to go straight to the talent, because I feel like if we understand how the talent works, we're able to understand the rest of her kit. So, all right, the first part of the talent is that when she fires off her ult, the all type resistance is reduced by 20% for all enemies. So when she's ulting during her ult, she's going to reduce the enemy's all type resistance. So that's the first thing. Something that I didn't write down here is that she's also going to reduce toughness bar damage regardless of what type the enemy is weak to. So she's what they call a colorless breaker. She also has that, which is incredibly powerful, especially with Ruan Mei if you're going to run her with Ruan Mei. We've already seen what Zui Yi can do with the colorless breaking, but she can do the exact same thing pretty much. Okay, this is the important part because this is where she's going to derive all her damage from. Every time a debuff is inflicted to an enemy, she's going to gain one ultimate stack, and then the enemies are going to gain one rose stack. And then there's a limit to this. You can only gain one of each per action. When you reach 9 stacks, you're going to be able to fire off your ultimate. Now, if you overstack before you fire off your ultimate, let's say you have 8, and then you do something that gets you 2, because Acheron can get herself 2, which technically you have 10 now. When you fire off your ultimate, you're going to get that one extra stack back, kind of like Zui Yi's follow-up. Exactly the same way. It works exactly the same way as Zui Yi's follow-up. So your job to get the most damage out of Acheron is going to be to inflict at least one debuff every single action. They're forcing you to pretty much play 2 Nihilities, which we're going to cover on later. But Nihility characters have an easier time of inflicting debuffs, and that's what you want to do to get the best damage out of Acheron. So basic deals 100% damage to a single target enemy, nothing crazy. You're not going to be using this, or you should not be using this. The skill is kind of like a blast skill. So 160% lightning damage to single target, and then 60% lightning damage to adjacent enemies. And then this, whenever you fire this off, you're going to gain one ultimate stack, and also the enemies are going to gain a rose. Okay. Notice that she does not have an inherent debuff on the skill. She doesn't have an inherent debuff on the basic. And then as you're going to see later on, she doesn't have a debuff on the ultimate. So if you have no light cone or no other help with stacking debuffs, you're going to have a tough time firing off ultimate. Okay, so keep that in mind. Her ultimate is her big nuke. 372% lightning damage to a single target and 300% lightning damage to all other enemies. And this can get pretty crazy because it's 300% to everybody. So if it's 5 people, essentially you're doing 1572% damage. That's what you're doing, because just 300 times 4 and then 372. But that's not all. Her ultimate hits 4 times. After every hit of her ultimate, she's going to increase her own damage by 30% up to 3 times. So up to a 90% damage bonus. And this will last 3 turns. This is perfect because you're going to be firing off your ultimate at least every 3 turns if you have a proper team built around her, which means that after your first ultimate, you're going to have a 90% damage bonus for free. To put it into context, Ruan Mei with 180% break effect and her light cone give you 92% damage bonus. So you're essentially, after your ultimate, you're getting pretty much a Ruan Mei damage bonus amplification. This is crazy. She just buffed herself. Essentially, that's what that means. She's her own harmony. And as if that wasn't enough, after the last hit, she's going to fire off 6 individual hits that all hit for 25% of her own attack, which adds up to 125% of her damage. So single target, this could get single target up to 497%. If I did my math right now, 497% single target. That's huge. That is insanely high. Okay, we already talked about the talent. And then her tech deals 200% lightning damage and reduced toughness bar regardless of the type to all enemies. Just to put it into context, the tech hits harder than the skill. And if it's a non-elite, non-boss enemy, you just kill it immediately. So this is something that you're going to want to spam. Acheron is going to be the best character to farm the overworld by far. So you're just going to have to craft the little energy bar thingies, and then you're just going to go around running around with Acheron and then one-shotting everything. You don't have to fight anybody. Simulated universe is going to be a breeze now because you don't have to fight. It's just like you hit him and then you go. You hit him and you go. And then if you start with your tech, after each wave, you're going to gain 1 overflow stack. Remember, but to get access to this overflow stack, you're going to have to fire off your ultimate. You're not going to get it automatically. And then the reason I put rotation nuance is because like there's certain scenarios that'll help you ult way faster. You can get like 1 or 2 turn ult on her. And then some scenarios you're going to have to do 3 turn ult. So it's pretty much you use your skill until you ult. That's pretty much what it is. You don't touch your basic at all. You're not going to even level this up. If I was you, don't waste your materials on that. Just use your skill ultimate and that's all you need. All right, a little bit extra stuff. Acheron gets a multiplicative damage bonus of 115% when there is one other Nihility character on the team, And this multiplier goes up to 160% when there are 2 other Nihility characters on the team. When it says multiplicative, that means that it goes outside of the already established damage bonus. So for example, if you have an orb, you already have 138.8% damage bonus, right? This multiplicative damage bonus right here is going to, instead of adding itself to that, is going to multiply it by that. So I'm going to explain it a little bit better on the next spreadsheet, but just keep in mind that this is a massive damage increase, and it's only triggered by just having 2 Nihility characters on the team. You're not even taking into consideration what they do, like their defense shred, their vulnerability. You're not even taking into consideration that. Just having them on the team gives you this immense damage bonus. Also, as part of her kit, whenever battle starts, Acheron gains 5 ultimate stacks and applies 5 roses on the enemies, and then when 9 stacks are reached, exceeding stacks become overflow stacks up to a max of 3. So this is going to enable you to overstack your ultimate stacks, and then this is also going to enable you to get 5 stacks right off the cuff. So that means that if you're able to get 4 stacks by Acheron's turn, you're going to be able to ult the first turn. So this is really nice. Really nice. All right, looking at her trace stats, she gets 28% attack, 24% crit damage, and 8% lightning damage boost. This is pretty much one of the best trace stat packages I've ever seen. She uses everything. She needs damage bonus, she needs crit rate, and then she needs attack, because Nihility characters naturally have low attacks, okay? All right, now that we covered how she works, let's go right into the calculations. All right, if you've been watching my channel, you kind of recognize this whole layout. Over here to the left is going to be the traditional regular damage formula. These 3 squares over here is going to be her damage formula skill multipliers for the ultimate, if it makes sense. So this is a 252% plus the 120 plus the 125 at the end. I separated them because each of them would have their own multipliers, and it's just better for me to visualize it like that. She has 3 instances of damage applications, so I just separated all of them into 3 different boxes. But naturally, these are all going to add up to do just one big hit, okay? For this test, we're going to be running an E0 Acheron with an S5 Good Night Sleep Well, because this is the only 4-star light cone that I feel like it does a good job with her. All the other ones that I'm going to be testing out and calculating on for my next video are pretty much all 5-star light cones. So the only 4-star light cone that I think can do a decent job is Good Night Sleep Well, but I'm going to be running numbers on a bunch of them, so stay tuned for that video as well. Over here to the right, we have the attack column. Her base attack is 699, which is actually really high. I said that Nihility characters have a low attack, but damn, this is a really high attack. Not really high, but just high. It's a high attack. The light cone 476 is a maxed out Good Night Sleep Well light cone. 28% from her traces. All this is already added into it. The chest is 0 because we want crit chest, any of the crit chests. Boots. This is going to be another conversation. You can run speed boots. This particular scenario is running speed boots. However, you can run attack boots, and I'll let you know how you're going to be able to run attack boots. And yeah, it involves Sparkle. Yeah, we all know that. But there's certain things that you have to do in order for you to run Sparkle with Acheron and also keep all her damage bonuses up. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Orb, you may be wondering, okay, so why not a lightning orb? Well, because initially when I made this table, I was running a lightning orb, but then I, just my inquisitive mind said, what if I put an attack orb on her? And then it turns out the attack orb yielded more damage every single scenario. Like with speed boots, without speed boots, with Ruan Mei, with other supports, with defense. Like I put every single thing that I can imagine. Attack orb always yielded me more damage at the end. So I could be wrong. So if any of you knows how to do this stuff as well and want to like check my work, feel free to let me know in the comments. Attack rope is very obvious. You don't want energy recharge because that's useless on her. You don't want anything else, only attack rope. The 352 for the hands. And then this is the kicker. We're running with 0 subs. And this is unrealistic because everybody is going to have at least 1 sub in attack or 1 sub in flat attack or whatever the case may be. This is not going to be 0. So your attack is probably going to be higher. This is just bare minimum attack orb, attack rope. We're going to be running a planar set that may or may not come out in the future that gives you 12% attack over here and then helps you also with your crit rate. And then the relic set that we're going to, not the relic set, yeah, the relic set we're going to be running is going to be the Pioneer, which is over here. Relic set's 12% damage to debuffed enemies, which we're going to be attacking debuffed enemies. So Pioneer set is going to give us 12% a damage bonus over here. And since we're talking about that, let's go over the damage sources. 8%, this is the lightning damage boost trace. The light cone is going to be the 3 stacks on Good Night Sleep Well, 72% damage bonus. I know I kind of like didn't mention it in my previous video, but yeah, Good Night Sleep Well actually stacks 3 times and it's 72% damage bonus. And for a traditional Nihility character, like let's say you're running Kritka, this may or may not be as impactful, but for her, for Acheron specifically, it's huge because of how her Nihility damage amplification works. So, and also we're going to be taking into consideration that she gives herself a 90% damage bonus after her first ultimate. So this is after her first ultimate. 90% damage bonus is already up and operational. So this gives us a total of 282% damage bonus without taking into consideration the 2 Nihility buff. Okay, now I'm going to explain how the 2 Nihility teammate damage bonus actually works, okay? So naturally, if you get a damage amplification, let's say from Bronya, it'll be added here. So let's say you get a 60% damage increase here, right? It's just going to add itself to what it already is, okay? So that's how regular damage amplification works. This damage amplification is going to multiply itself into this total. So whatever you already have here is going to be multiplied by 115 if you have 1 Nihility character, and 160 if you have 2 Nihility characters. Now for the 115, the 1 Nihility teammate, it's really hard to notice that how significant the damage bonus is, because the higher the damage, the initial damage bonus that you have, the more impactful this multiplication is going to be. So, and the same goes for the inverse. The lower your initial damage boost, the lower the impact of this. So in the 115 damage multiplication, you don't really see that much of a difference, right? Where you really see the difference is in the 2 Nihility, in the 160. And the reason I say that is because if you subtract 282 from 451, the difference is 169.2. To put it into perspective, Ruan Mei gives you 68%, Bronya gives you 66% damage bonus, and then Sparkle gives you 48. So if you have the 3 best supports in the game, they give you almost the same amount of damage bonus that you would get just by having the 2 Nihility characters on the team. What this means is that essentially having the 2 Nihilities on the team is already kind of like having pretty much Ruan Mei and Bronya and a little bit of Sparkle in your team. For people who just feel the need to run a support, like a Harmony support, she doesn't need it. She has plenty of damage amplification in her kit already. However, you can run a Harmony support if you use a little strategy that I'm going to disclose a little bit later. The damage bonus, the 160% damage bonus from the second Nihility teammate is just massive. Like you're just gonna, like, it's so much damage bonus, it's crazy. And the funny thing is that the higher that is, the higher damage bonuses you have already on your kit, the more of a difference this is gonna be. If you were to run an orb here, let's say you run an orb. I know we can't really do that, but let's say for sakes of calculation, we were to run an orb, right? And now it's 320%. This cell right here, I have it set up to where it's going to tell me what the adjusted damage multiplier would be. This is going to be our final damage multiplier. 513, right? So you have 513 minus 320. That's 193. 193. The 160% damage bonus is just crazy. It's too much. It's too much to ignore. You're gonna have to, like, you know, you just build 2 Nihilities. It's fine, you know. All right, moving on. The minus 20% resistance to the target. We're also calculating this, assuming that we're going to hit hard with the ultimate. The skill is not affected by this, which is why in the skill cells you're going to notice right here there is a minus 20%. This G27 is this cell right here. It's a minus 20% for the multiplier. So the skill does not benefit from the resistance multiplier amplification that she has in her own kit, and then everything else is just standard. Okay, so currently this damage table right here at the this damage table in the bottom right is going to show what the skill hits for with 0 Nihility characters, 1 Nihility character, and 2 Nihility character, without actually taking into consideration what the 2 Nihility characters are going to be. Okay, and same thing with the ultimate. So 0 Nihility, 1 Nihility, 2 Nihility. This is what they're going to hit for. The first cell, the first skill cell is single target. This second cell, it says AoE. The first one is single target. The ultimate, the last one is the AoE portion of the damage, okay? And remember, this is the AoE portion for 1 enemy. So if there's 5 enemies, it's this times 5, or this times 4, plus this. Already a lot of damage. Like, we haven't even added anything yet, okay? All right, let's just start adding some characters. Let's add Pela, for example, with the Resolution Personal Sweat S5. Pela reduces the defense of the enemy by 40%, and the Resolution Personal Sweat is another 16, which is a 56% defense reduction with just Pela. So let's just add 56% damage reduction there, and bada bing bada boom. Our ultimate is hitting for 106,000 and the AoE is hitting for 64,000. Remember guys, I'm actually gonna put a an extra one here. Let me do this real quick. Editing I summon guys, I made a mistake when I added the extra tile that displays the damage with the single target and the AoE, and as you can notice, I am covering the tile. So I'm just going to add the number to the bottom left corner of whatever it is that tile says. So yeah, back to the video. Okay guys, I added a cell over here that is going to denote how much damage it's going to be when we have 5 enemies. Let me format this cell really quickly. With this setup, just adding Pela and you hit a full board of enemies, it's going to hit for 363,000 damage. Just adding Pela. Okay, I don't even know what to say. Like it's just crazy. You know, like we're also rocking a very modest 80 and 150% crit damage ratio, and I averaged it out. So if we adjust the crit rate to like 70%, it'll adjust accordingly. It's still like, if you put it at 70, it's still there. If you put it at 50, which let's say it's like more normal, the damage is still at almost 300%. So just for the sake of this video, we're going to leave it at 70 because it's very attainable for most people. But even then, it's 340,000 damage, 100,000 damage single target, and then 60,000 damage AoE. Insanity. Okay, let's say we add another Nihility character. Let's say Guinaifen. Guinaifen gives you, I think, is a 21% vulnerability multiplier when you stack her fire kits up to 3 times. Let's do that. 120,000 damage single target, 73,000 damage AoE, and the full board 5 enemy damage is 410,000. I don't know what to say. I don't like, she's looking pretty, and this is with the Good Night Sleep Well, right? Her signature Lycone obviously is going to be a little better than Good Night Sleep Well, but that is something that I'm going to discuss in a separate video. Let me make this smaller because you're saying we're missing one spot. So that's usually for this stain. But what if we can substitute Guinaifen? Let's take Guinaifen out. Let's keep Pela. Let's take Guinaifen out. And let's put in Break Effect Welt, right? What we're going to do with Break Effect Welt is we're going to give Welt the Resolution Lycone as well. So if you have one copy, just give the Resolution Lycone to whichever. It doesn't matter, really. The fastest one should have the Lycone because the fastest one is going to be the one applying the debuff. Welt already has debuffs on his kit. Although not every turn. He can't do it every turn, but he has debuffs on his kit as well. So let's say your sustain is going to be Welt. And we've all seen Gotcha's Max Run where he successfully sustains with Welt. So it's very doable. Now, what can you do with that other slot? Because now you have Acheron already, you have Pela, and then you have your sustain, which is Welt. So that's 2 Nihility and Acheron. So you have a free spot. What if we put in, let's say we slot in Ruan Mei, right? Ruan Mei, E0, S0 Ruan Mei, 180% break effect is going to get you about 68% damage bonus. She's also going to give you Res Pen for 25%. Let me make sure. Yeah, Res Pen 25% with her ultimate. Look at this damage, bro. If you can successfully run sustain Welt for the time being, I'd say go for it because it opens up the team to Acheron to be ran with a proper Harmony character. And the damage goes to 150 single target, 90,000 AoE, and then if it's a full board of 5 enemies, you're going to be hitting for 500,000 damage. The great thing about it is that if your team is set up correctly and you're consistently placing debuffs on the enemy, you're going to be firing this off like every 2 turns, 2 to 3 turns, this is going off, okay? Now, let's say for instance, let's substitute this, right? Let's just go crazy now, okay? Take away Ruan Mei, right? And let's bring in Sparkle. What does Sparkle allows us to do? Sparkle allows us to open up the attack boots. So let's put some attack boots on her now. So we have attack boot, attack orb, and attack rope. Don't worry guys, like I'm not going to switch up the orb because I already tested this out. The attack orb is going to give you more damage than the lightning orb, okay? So what does Sparkle provide us? A massive amount of crit damage, okay? So we're going to hit our crit damage at 100 and I think it's 180% crit damage. She gives you about 88. Just give or take 88. I'm pretty sure it's a little more, but I'm just going off memory. 88% more crit damage. And then she also gives you a 48% damage bonus as well. Damage didn't even fit in here. And then the crazy thing is that Sparkle is going to make Acheron just go insane because she's going to go as many times as Sparkle goes. So Sparkle goes, she goes. The thing is that you're going to have your sustains, I mean, not your sustains, your other Nihility characters are going to have to be on point placing debuffs so you can get this ultimate in a timely fashion. But look at that. 177,000 single target, 107,000 AoE, and a full board wipe of 600,000 damage, E0 S0. For people who are doom posting Acheron saying that she's worthless without her S1, she can't work without her S1, I'm sorry, but you just don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing, and that's fine. You know, like, not everybody's over here like busting out Excel spreadsheets. I'm not bragging or anything, but it is what it is. She's just looking like a train. Like, she's gonna hit so hard that it's not gonna matter really. Like, once you get this hit off, everything's dying. Like, everything's dying. And if it's single target, you're still hitting for 200k a hit. That's crazy. Again, most people are still gonna pull on her signature light cone, me included. So this is actually, like, this damage is just like baseline. We're only doing Pela and Sparkle. A lot of people pull for Sparkle. Or Ruan Mei. We tried it with Ruan Mei. The damage is also still really, really good. Yeah, I don't know what to say, guys. Like, she is looking like, I don't know, like a destroyer. She's literally a destruction character and a erudition character all into one. But she just happens to be Nihility. Yeah, her light cone video is going to come in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. But yeah, also I'm going to make a team video, a team guide for Acheron as well, because I think people are sleeping on sustain Welt, even though it's been proven that he can actually sustain a team. And even if he can heal, if your team gets hit 1 or 2 times, your team should be built to take at least 1 hit. So you know, it's fine. Like, sustaining with Welt is really, really good. And if you do that with Acheron, you open up your team to running the sustain, and you don't need to pull for the E2. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you gonna pull for Acheron? And until next time, guys, see ya.